fighting and with the motor mounts, because I didn't want to take them off. I got it in there. Yeah. Now the other next swapperoo I gotta do is, if you can see, this guy comes straight down. Yeah. Yep. It's a different size pipe too. I checked it on the other side. The other pipes go straight on an angle, and this side goes straight down. So I think this. I remember working on Ford vehicles back in the day, and this right here tube reminds me of a Ford van, especially with that plenum we pulled out of the center of that aluminum plenum. Yeah. I haven't got any questions on why didn't I fuel inject it, but it's a lot of wiring and computer and exhaust and all that stuff you got to put on to fuel inject this engine. It would be about 50-50 reliability, because got a new tank here, fuel pump's pretty new, carburetor's rebuilt. Only thing I have an issue with is ignition, and that will be hopefully fixed. So, but the other thing, you got all the sensors you got to mess with all the time, and yeah. So anyways, I just brought you back to show you that I got the engine in. Bell holes and bolts are all tight. They're all in. I've got the starter to put in next, after I figure out what I'm going to do with the exhaust manifolds. This, like I said, this one's crooked. I mean straight down, and this one goes on the right angle, except for the pipe smaller. And if I'm going to replace one manifold, I have to do both. These have been off. These have been swapped out. Because there's a washer back there, and it just looks like it. And let's see. There's one of the manifolds over here. Problem is, I got that little valve in there. Got that valve in there. I gotta mess with. And this valve, that'll have to weld up straight, welded up so it doesn't mess up. It's still got to get these bolts out of here. I got to plug all those guys up. Yeah, they're not cracked, but some more stuff to mess with. You know what I'm saying? That had a bad exhaust leak right there, you can tell that. I had to put that flange back on here. I don't know where the other one's at. Thought I put them both on the same thing. Heads are down there, and then the rest of the junk that's laying around here. I don't know. What do I do with it? Surprised that's all I lost, huh? Surprised that's all I lost. It's not on here. Oh, this mess. Not on there. It's here somewhere. It'll show up eventually. I'd rather just take and make some more exhaust. And leave those manifolds on there, because Anyways, I wanted to change out the exhaust anyways to dual exhaust, but oh my god. See, somebody's already messed with the exhaust already. It's a new muffler. See? The cobble in a different size exhaust. But I have no idea where I set that manifold. I'm sure it's over here. But this is the size of the flanges I got off it. Pretty big. Pretty big. I think they're going to be a little bit bigger, like quarter-inch bigger, half-inch bigger. Alright, well I gotta get to the auto parts store tomorrow and give them a holler, see what my options are in the exhaust. And looks like it's kind of crooked, don't it? It's just me. Just me. Welcome back. We are underneath the truck. And I want to bring you up to date. I was able to get that cylinder back in there. I removed the boot and removed the plastic piece. And there's a clip on the back side up in there. White plastic clip. Brought the cylinder up to the top side where I got a C-clamp, 12-inch. It was quite big. I think it was the biggest one you can get. And put a half-inch socket in it and cranked it in. It's real slow, and pushed that piston back in on the back, on the top. Of course, I had the reservoir cap off with that bladder that's in there off, so you can watch the fluid level go up. And I did that a few times and was trying to figure out how I could get something around that to hold. This is what is initially on there when you get the cylinder new. This goes around the tip of the rod, and then there's a clip that holds this on here, but the rest of that's gone, so I opted to bend a copper wire. I'll try my best to show you what I did. I did a loop at the top and put that over this into the rod. Made two rods go past that whole slave cylinder, which you can see how long it is. From up here, the front, all the way to the back. And then I just wrapped it around. So I was able to push. It's going to take you a few times to get that the wire on the end of the ball to hold it there, and then you got to crank the C-clamp in, and it wants to fall off it both ways. I couldn't find any other way to do it. There's like 3 or 4 videos of guys using some sort of suction thing to suck the air out of it after they open up the bleeder down here, but I did these 30 years ago. I did this, and you just ended up buying a whole new slave cylinder and top piece, and if they're available, they're a lot of money. Now you can use stuff, but then you're dealing with the same thing again. So I ended up running that all the way around the back, so I was able to bend that around that end of this back of the slave cylinder to hold that rod in, and then I was able to slide it around this way. Once you take this thing, needs to be bolted to the bottom, and then once you slide it around, then you try to cut this try to cut this stuff out from underneath that ball, in which it goes back out slowly, but it still gave me enough time to do it. So I was able to get it in there and put the plastic clip. It's like a C thing. It slides in the back. Actually forgot how to get that out of there. I kept looking at it and looking at it, and all of a sudden I pried on it and the whole C clip come out. So yeah. So that's how I got it to do it. It's you know, just some copper wire, and then like I said, I bent it around in a circle at the end. That's the ball in the end, and you got to try to make it where it comes out evenly on both sides. So it's it worked. Hopefully I won't have to do it again, but you got to have it so the copper wire goes around and catches the end of that plunger, and it has to be even on both sides when it comes back. And this wire here was stiff enough. This is from one of my refrigerators, but I would imagine you can use regular copper wire from, like, you know, Romex, I guess they call it, Romex. I don't know, I just call it copper wire. But they call it Romex. So that's what I did, and it's together. I have not tried the clutch yet because I'm just doing everything else. I got the starter back up in here. Got the starter back up in there. Got these bolts in. So we got this pretty much buttoned, this engine mounted in, this buttoned in right now. So now next thing is to figure out what I want to do with this exhaust. Cause, yeah. Yep. I don't want to throw it away, but I'm gonna have to. I'm sure I'm gonna have to. I don't know how I can get it out of there without cutting it. I'm gonna have to cut it somewhere. Try to yank it down out of there. This mount right there. From down there back, they jury rigged something in there. Yeah, fishing up the gas tank and the fuel lines. I put those little bypass fittings in there and tried to get them together, and I ran out of steam with that. But I'll have to get back on that because that runs to the gas tank. Bypassing that shut up between the rear and the front. I only need one gas tank. I don't need two. It was a problem anyways. That whole gas tank deal was a whole problem. It was a problem from day one. Especially in Michigan where there's salt and corrosion and everything else, as you can tell. And then I gotta figure out how to get all the rest of the stuff together up there. But I assume that I'll be jumping out this guy onto that diesel truck, so I want to get as far as I could get together where I could know where I left off, you know what I'm saying? Where I left off. Yeah, where I left off. Thanks for watching, commenting, and subscribing. How about a stovepipe? One stovepipe? Two stovepipes. Well, I pushed that slave out when I was taking the engine out. And the pedal was like halfway down, but it returned. But it's the rod, the rod for the slave was sticking out too far, like an inch. So, come up with an idea of moving the cap. Moving this thing, move that cap. Put a half-inch socket in there in this, and I'm pushing it back in a little bit at a time. So the fluid's running back up into the cylinder. Hopefully I won't get no air in it. I don't believe I will, but there's always that chance. Especially if you go slow, you won't have that problem probably. I would believe. I think if I'm going slow, slowly pushing it back in, it should push the fluid back up to the reservoir. At least that's the hope for it. Stove pipe.